We're going to get to that in just a few moments. But first to this, major new developments in the Russia investigation. Officials say Attorney General Jeff Sessions spent several hours being grilled by the special counsel's office last week. This is the first time that investigators are known to have interviewed a cabinet member. President Trump was asked yesterday if he is worried about what Sessions may have said.
Thank you.
What the Attorney General told the Special Counsel?
No, I'm not at all concerned.
Did you talk to him about it?
No, I didn't, but I'm not at all concerned.
For more on what this means, we now turn to former prosecutor David Bruno. David, good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl.
Pretty big deal here. I mean, how helpful could Sessions be to Mueller? And also, does this set up a potential interview of President Trump, which his lawyers are, we're told, currently negotiating over?
Yeah, well, the AG Sessions testimony should be no surprise. He has testified twice before Congress, one about his Ambassador Kislyak meeting, and the other about the photo that was taken where he's at the table. But should this mean anything? No, I mean, the thing that jumps out at me is that the investigations is moving into the inner circle, and I would expect others close to the president to be next.
So you say that this means that the investigation is ramping up, not slowing down, because we were under the impression just a few weeks ago that the Mueller was starting to kind of, it looked like he was wrapping things up. What's changed, do you think?
Well, there are critical witnesses that still have to be questioned. I mean, think about Don Jr. and Kushner and others close to the president. So being the first cabinet member to be interviewed is a start, but certainly not the end.
Okay, let's talk about what's going on with former FBI Director James Comey. There is talk now, especially from Trey Gowdy, Republican Trey Gowdy, that they want Comey to come back. There's questions about whether or not he was completely truthful in his congressional testimony, and it's over these memos. What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, the reports are that Comey was interviewed by the special counsel's unit last year. And Comey testified in June about these leaked memos, and I would have expected that specific testimony to the special counsel to be prior to that. I think that testimony was probably vetted by Mueller, someone who Comey and Mueller worked with in the past. And certainly this should not be any news that he gave testimony in respect to this investigation.
Well, but Trey Gowdy's making a pretty interesting charge here. He's basically saying that Comey testified to them that he decided not to pursue any kind of charges against Hillary Clinton over her email server after he interviewed her. But now it looks like, according to Trey Gowdy, that he had made that decision before he ever spoke to her, and there might be evidence to back that up.
No, good point, Cheryl. What needs to be discussed if he's brought back before Congress is certainly this memo that was started prior to the Hillary Clinton interview and was amended, and FBI agent Strzok had something to do with that, which was taking away the language of recklessness, which is required for the federal law of mishandling classified information, and changing it to carelessness.
Right.
He has not been questioned about that. That would be a point of questioning.
I mean, look, I'm sorry, but, lying to Congress, I mean, that's, it's a felony. Let's talk about this real quick. Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, these two former officials that, of course, were high-level officials in both the Hillary Clinton investigation and the Trump dossier investigation until they were recused, they were pulled off the case.
Right.
Basically, these text messages, there's 50,000 that are missing. But now we're finding out that Peter Strzok texted a colleague and said, "You and I both know the odds are nothing. If I thought it was likely, I'd be there, no question. I hesitate in part because of my gut sense and concern there is no big there." He's talking about the Russia investigation into President Trump. He ended up on the investigation, but he was already expressing doubts beforehand. What do you make of that?
Well, I make the timing of that text message is critical. It's May 19th. It's 2 days after Special Counsel Mueller was appointed. And at that time, this investigation had been rolling for almost a year. Strzok was involved in it. He clearly knew about the investigation. That's why it's very important.
All right, David Bruno, so much to go through. Appreciate your perspective on this. A lot of moving parts in the story.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning.